Y0 or Handyman said Y0 or Handyman has started streaming on Rumble.
And we've seen them sort of start to adapt to this recently. Earlier, back at the start,
Stream Elements said your Handyman gaming is now live. Streaming Call of Duty, Black Ops 7, Warzone.
On the PlayStation 4 store and on the Xbox One store, you could not download the game for the first time outright. You couldn't buy the Battle Pass outright anymore, so they were limiting the last-gen players. Well, as of the Season 4 Reloaded update today, Call of Duty has now taken the next step and completely removed another major element of last gen in this sort of multi-step process to getting the game fully up to date and fully on current gen. So, with the June 25th update, which is now out there with Season 4 Reloaded, the in-game store for Warzone is entirely gone on last gen. PlayStation 4 and Xbox One players will no longer be able to purchase any new store bundles, anything of that nature. You can still progress through certain things, though. You can progress through the free Battle Pass tiers, although you can't outright purchase the Battle Pass or Black Cell, for example. You can go through those free Battle Pass tiers. So the new weapons that are coming, in future seasons, with Season 5's Battle Pass, with the presumed Season 6 Battle Pass, you'll still be able to go through and progress that at a slower rate just through the free tiers to get the new weapons that come and are available through that. However, you will not be able to go through and fully purchase it or go into the store and buy a bundle to get a new weapon and outright skip that challenge that may be associated with it, or if we get a new event and there's a weapon tied to that, but it also has a blueprint in the store and you'd rather not go through and get 50 long shots and 100 headshots or whatever the challenges are, right? You can no longer on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One circumvent that and just go to the store, buy the bundle outright, because the store is now completely gone and disabled for last gen as well, which is a pretty major deal. So if you are a last gen player still on Warzone, this is gonna be a pretty big update. This will actually basically be the final big drastic shift in availability up until the point where Warzone on last gen just does not exist anymore. We obviously already saw all the June 4th updates take place. With the Season 4 Reloaded update, the store is now fully disabled there for Warzone. And then, like I mentioned, with Modern Warfare 4 Season 1, which should be happening in early November, Warzone will no longer be available to play whatsoever on PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. So it's only lasting until then. This will be through the end of Season 6 for Black Ops 7. Now, obviously, if you are a last-gen player, you're actively tuned into COD and you've been purchasing the battle passes throughout all the seasons. You've been buying store bundles frequently. You're probably sitting there going, wait a second, I've got all my COD points.
Get exclusive Mortal Kombat 2 wallpapers for your PC with Bing. Choose your fighter.
Points. I don't have anything to spend them on now. What's going on with these? Call of Duty does say COD points can be redeemed for content in Warzone through today's update. So today's... Ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Go through and get 50 long shots and 100 headshots or whatever the challenges are. Last gen player, you're actively tuned into COD and you've been purchasing the battle passes throughout all the seasons. You've been buying store bundles frequently. You're probably sitting there going, wait a second, I've got all my COD points. I don't have anything to spend them on now. What's going on with these? Call of Duty does say COD points can be redeemed for content in Warzone through today's update. So today's the cutoff for that. However, if you still have COD points on your account, you can still access these if you eventually do upgrade to current gen. They say all the content you've purchased with your COD points is shared across your Activision account and will be available on supported platforms if your account is simply linked. So if you're on PlayStation 4, for example, they've just disabled the store, you're annoyed that those bundles are no longer available there, you've got COD points left unspent. If you were to upgrade to PlayStation 5, those COD points will still be there on your account. COD points you purchased or earned through Battle Pass progression are tied to platform accounts. And will be available to redeem on the current gen console within the the same console family when using that same account. So you'd have to go from PlayStation to PlayStation or from Xbox to Xbox, for example. If you were to switch from PlayStation over to PC, even if you've got your Activision account linked, COD points aren't always transferring there because the stores are different on those platforms. You're obviously going through the PlayStation store for COD points versus like the BNet store or whatever else you're using on any given launcher, right? Most content purchased with local currency is tied to platform accounts and can be used in-game on the current generation console within the same console family when using the same account. This includes content associated with other Call of Duty titles. So definitely a big shakeup here, and like I said, the next step that is now fully out in taking Warzone from being a fully available on all consoles, essentially, game to being a little bit more limited and focused on current tech, which is going to be a huge shift in ideally what the game is going to be able to do. Obviously, we've seen a lot of updates over the course of the past few years be very buggy, be very broken. We've seen a lot of issues surface in Warzone that quite frankly just don't always exist in other games. And that's not to say other competitors out there are flawless by any means, but let's be honest, there's a running bit going on in the COD community that when we see a major update, sure, it might fix 20 things, but what 7 other things did it break, right? Like we always know this happens again and again and again. A lot of this can be tied to the fact that the game's optimization is so wonky because it's got to be playable on a base PS4, but then also the latest PS5 Pro. And there's a huge gap there in what those games are able to do, on that tech, on that big separation in what was on a base PS4 and what was the most recently released console. Obviously, when we get to Modern Warfare 4, that's only launching on current gen and PC. No more PS4, no more Xbox One, and that's going to be able to fully utilize, long overdue, but fully utilize all the current tech to ideally make the game more optimized across the board, make updates smoother, and of course general gameplay with general enhancements to graphics, to audio, to everything, basically how smooth things are, visual clarity, like the list goes on and on and on of what they could fully go through and optimize here. And I know based off of my early looks at Modern Warfare 4 when I was able to sit in on a dev call and they were showing us gameplay, easily the best looking COD from a graphical standpoint, and I think a lot of that can be pointed at the fact that it's current gen only. And so Warzone now getting the same treatment here as well in this sort of multi-stage process, I think long term is going to be very good for the stability and the health of the game. But obviously, if you are someone who is on last gen or is in the process of trying to upgrade, especially with ladies and gentlemen, hey, hi, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for stopping by. Today we ended up getting the full patch notes for on the multiplayer front, with modes Black Ops Classic, Launch, Fringe, Hacienda, and Gridlock are all in the rotation now for that. Team Blueprint Sharpshooter is going to be a new mode there as well. Weapon tuning. As we get deeper into the Black Ops 7 seasons, our multiplayer weapon tuning will focus less on larger rebalancing passes and more on addressing outliers at the top and low ends of the meta. The later we go, the more cautious we are about disrupting the design, pace, and personality a weapon is carved out for itself. Basically saying we're doing less major tuning over the course of the year, which is how it always goes. This update mostly has adjustments to post-launch weapons and attachments, though there are a few exceptions. The Voyak, Kogot, and Warden have been hovering around the top of the meta for a while now, so they're getting some slight nerfs to knock them down a bit. Some weapons like the Maddox and the Maverick saw some adjustments early on due to being too strong, but we can now get some power back with those. More details down below. So, on the Voyak has maintained a very high usage and strong performance for multiple seasons. Its max damage range and recoil were generous, given that it also excels in handling and mobility, so those have received a correction. So its max range gets nerfed by a few meters there. It's still going to be really good though. Then also slightly increase the gun kick and view kick with that. With the Maddox, we hit the Maddox with a significant recoil and damage nerf back in Season 1, reloaded in Season 2. Since then, it's fallen out of favor, so we're buffing it. Now its mid-damage is better, its mid-range is better. Slightly decrease the view kick, strength, and deviation. And then also on the Echo Fire Barrel, the range is better in the mid-range for that. The AK is solid, but hasn't broken out of the middle of the pack yet, really. So its damage is better now, but its range is worse up close and into the mid-range there. The Anvil conversion on the MXR received some buffs after launching. On the weak side, we feel there's still room for it to be stronger, though. So the final rate of fire has been buffed by 100, and it has better control. So that'll be an interesting change to that to see if that actually makes that a little bit more worthwhile there. Maverick was another weapon that was really good early on, and then they nerfed it hard, so they're bringing it back now. Range in general is better across the board. Burst fire rate cooldown was also reduced a little bit. On SMGs, the VST is receiving a small adjustment to its recoil to improve ease of use. So honestly, I feel like it's pretty easy as is because of some of the attachment updates they've done, and also just how they've adjusted the VST. Now it's even easier. That's good news there for sure. On the Rev, this is getting a small range adjustment, and more notably, a minimum damage adjustment that makes headshots more valuable at long range. So range buffs across the board. They also ended up adjusting the weapon position in ADS there. With the Kogat, this has consistently remained the top SMG aside from the ranked weapons. We're not touching its mobility or its handling, but we are reducing its power at range. So in general here, they nerf its damage across the board at all ranges, and its close range gets nerfed there as well. The headshot multiplier was buffed though to keep it a little bit more rewarding there. With LMGs, we've now added new ADS spread improvements to various attachments across the LMGs to support more crossbar builds if you want those. So mobility spread muzzle, tac spread stock, and steady aim laser improve your ADS spread a little bit more. On the XM325, this is getting some recoil improvements. Much like the VST, this has a fast TTK, so they're not going to make a huge change, but it's going to be a little bit easier to use. And also the motion strike laser improves your ADS spread as well. On marksmans, the Warden, we see a lot of feedback about this. This hasn't broken into the highest tiers of usage, but it's one of the best performers when people do use it. We are being measured with the changes here because it would be very easy to completely just kill this thing, essentially. We're reworking the damage ranges and some multipliers with this. So the range gets nerfed up close and in the medium range. Headshot multiplier buff, neck multiplier nerfed, though, there by a decent bit. We also have the Ion. A few of the Ion attachments now improve ADS spread, so you can use the Vulcan minigun a little bit more efficiently there. On the Grimhawk, the riskier the design, the more challenging it is to find the sweet spot for a weapon. The Grimhawk fell into that camp. It's had some time to test out basically how it's going to play and what the stats are on it, if people can actually do well with it. We feel like we have to bump up the power a little bit. So basically, with this, damage gets buffed across the board, but they do nerf the ranges a little bit. And then with the barrel attachment on there, better damage across the board as well. Then general attachment tuning on the Stenatorium Break, we saw the feedback about this being too harsh with its penalties. We're removing the additional recoil penalty, as well as bumping up the bonus rate of fire a touch. The minimap penalty and opportunity cost incurred from picking this, and an already stacked muzzle node feels sufficient to make it an interesting choice. So they removed the vertical recoil penalty and slightly increased the rate of fire improvements. With Streak, addressing the issue where the lock shot crosshair could disappear after looking away from a targeted enemy. Then also an issue where the Iron Rain was not doing the intended damage to the Ion Core. Then a couple of UI updates here as well. And you already know we got various stability fixes. You know what's a good update when we see that. Jumping into zombies here, in the interest of time, we do have map-specific bug fixes for Totenreich, Paradox Junction, Astra Malorum, and then also Ashes. If you want to read the exact specifics, feel free to go ahead and pause the video. Niche changes and bug fixes across the board there. We also get some specific mode updates here too. Once more, to read everything in depth if you want, feel free to pause. We've got updates for Rogue Run, just one specific one there. A couple in Cursed, a couple in Directed, a couple in Survival as well. Weapon updates for zombies, they address an issue where performing an empty reload on a pack-a-punched KRS-762 caused you to reload twice. Then also an issue that allowed players to continuously purchase ammo when clip-only weapons were already at max ammo. With support, they address an issue where the lock shot could return with an incorrect ammo count. Address an issue where the sentry turret could be deployed on top of an AR-CXD. And also an issue where players could not see their marked ping when Disciple Injection was active. Gobblegums, they address an issue where temporary save files were created after using exit strategy. With vehicles, address an issue where engine sounds were persistent after all Tessie was destroyed. Then also addressed an alignment issue with some HUD stuff. Couple of audio updates here where audio wouldn't play during the Twin Sisters quests and Ashes. Then also addressed issues with various voiceover lines not playing and some subtitle issues. And 2 for 2, folks, addressing various stability issues. Then in Endgame here, addressed a couple of gameplay updates, including issues with Xursa pathing and behavior, an issue with the Chaos rounds and Frost Vortex unintentionally activating, an issue where a skill would be chosen without prompting if the player exfils, an issue where loading into a glitch fracture would reduce the amount of ammo held for an exotic weapon, an issue where gear drops would spawn fears too infrequently, a rare issue with Dr. Faulkner getting stuck below the map, and rare cases where surveillance control drones could not be engaged with. Addressed an issue with the and one appearing on the member squad escape, and then also addressed multiple display issues. And 3 for 3, various stability fixes. Now let's jump over to the Warzone patch notes. So keep in mind, as we are going through all the updates, all the changes here, if you guys enjoy the video, do me a favor, hit that like button. It's always seriously appreciated. Much love, as always, to everyone who takes the time to do so. No better place than right here. So feel free to hit that subscribe button and turn on those post notifications. We do have the new seasonal variant for Rebirth Island. The summer vibe now, so that'll be pretty fun to check out. We've got new modes with squad gun game, kind of self-explanatory. It's gun game like in multiplayer, but with your squad there. That'll be played in Resurgence, on Fortune's Keep, Havens Hollow, and Rebirth. Resurgence Casual, Fortune's Keep is coming to that now, so that's good news. Then buyback quads will be live from July 9th to the 13th. We have our playlist update and beyond. On all 3 Resurgence maps. Ranked play Resurgence Trios, Battle Royale Casual quads on Avalon and Verdansk, and Resurgence Casual quads on all 3 maps there. With general updates here, the Champions Quest is now back and better than ever because there's a whole lot of grinds to do with this. So, per usual, you have to win 5 matches in a row or 30 total matches in one season. If you do so, you'll be able to try and complete a Champions Quest. Per usual, you got to pick up the elements, you got to do the nuke, everything like that. If you are able to do multiple different Champions Quest victories, you get new content for this, whether it's operator skins, animated weapon camos eventually, really cool stuff going on there. We're excited to deliver the next chapter of this. Since its introduction, it's been one of Warzone's most memorable experiences, and the success of the previous iterations gave us the opportunity to continue to evolve the formula. The new randomized multi-phase structure creates more opportunities for players to track and disrupt an active run. We also want to reward that participation, which is why we've introduced additional ways to progress towards earning a Champions Quest through that disruption. Our goal is to preserve the challenge and prestige of Champions Quest while creating more meaningful player interactions, more ways to earn the contract, more reasons for everyone in the lobby to get involved, and we get a little tease of the Champions Quest rewards there, it would seem. Ranked play, we do have the ranked series coming in season for Warzone, where you'll get put into your ladder. You can get some camos out of that. They have restricted the new minigun on the Ion, and then also the Mirage Dual Fire Kit, though. General gameplay updates here. Supply boxes have been fully disabled in the gas. Players can no longer interact with supply boxes located deep within the gas there. Deep in-gas dynamic grace distance. The distance at which players are considered deep in the gas now scales based on the current circle. So in circle 1, it's still 40 meters. In circle 2, it's 30 meters. In circle 3 and later, it's 25 meters. Redeploy orientation. Players redeploying near teammates positions close to the gas will now face towards the safe zone rather than towards the gas. Always felt a little annoying there. Adjusted the redeploy orientation so players face more directly towards the ground as well, so you can ideally get down and quicker into the action there. Hot zone loot. Hot zones across all maps now have a chance to spawn a gas mask. Hot zones across all maps, excluding Rebirth, have an increased chance to contain legendary supply crates. Havens Hollow has an additional increased chance for legendary crates to appear. To offset these improvements, the overall number of legendary supply crates outside of hot zones has been slightly reduced. So they really want to incentivize you going after the hot zones and chasing that more valuable loot there. In Battle Royale, dynamic gulag wait times. Players waiting in the gulag without finding an opponent will now receive a free redeploy faster as the match progresses. So you got to wait 95 seconds in first circle. That's the same. 65 seconds in the second circle. And then if it's circle 3 or later, only 45 seconds, then you can get back into the game. They've also adjusted the buy stations with streaks. The RCXD replaces the smoke screen, and that'll cost 4K. With field upgrades, the munitions improved interaction, prompt positioning. Then items from the deployed munitions now spawn 12% further away, just so it's not all stacking on top of each other, basically there. With the point turret, thank goodness, the target range acquisition has been reduced. Increase the target acquisition delay, reduce the maximum number of simultaneously deployed turrets from 2 to 1. They're spammed everywhere. They're so annoying to run into, so they'll be a little bit less annoying now. Stims reduced health regeneration by 40% if you're in the gas. So stims are not going to help you stay alive in the gas nearly as long now. With grapples, they reduce the maximum movement speed, reduce the early detach vertical speed boost. The early detach momentum retention has been reduced, and the early detach max speed has been reduced. We've heard the feedback from the community that these have been too aggressive, basically. While previous adjustments to Surveyor helps address some of these concerns, we are not satisfied with the grappling hook's current combat balance. These changes preserve its mobility utility while also limiting how aggressive you can play with it, essentially. Then we get our new weapons updates. We obviously have a couple of new weapons dropping. New melee AN-94 is back, the new attachments through the weekly challenges. Black Ops Royale, couple of loot updates. AN-94 replaces the AK, VX Compact replaces the Maddox, CBRS replaces the Razor, KRS replaces the Nova line. For the Mirage in Battle Royale and Resurgence, the Picket Stability Grip, the benefits have been improved here. The ADS penalty has been attachments through the weekly challenges. Black Ops Royale, couple of loot updates. AN-94 replaces the AK, VX Compact replaces the Maddox, CBRS replaces the Razor, KRS replaces the Nova line. For the Mirage in Battle Royale and Resurgence, the Picket Stability Grip, the benefits have been improved here. The ADS penalty has been reduced. On the Egert, on the bow and grip, horizontal recoil benefit improved, ADS speed penalty reduced there. On the mod, contraband grip, ADS speed penalty reduced. On the MK35, they buffed its mid-range and its long-range damage, and then also its ranges. So that's going to be a little bit more competitive now, hopefully. They also ended up making the Redwell Compensator vertical control be better. Then on the stability grip, horizontal recoil benefit buffed. ADS speed penalty is not going to be as harsh. On the MXR, the Anvil conversion now improves horizontal and vertical control. And also on the Virgil grip, the horizontal control benefits better and the ADS penalty is not as harsh. On the Peacekeeper, same deal there as well. On the Voyak, they slightly increased the recoil there with the gun kick and the view kick. Then on the Pathnet grip, ADS speed penalty won't be as harsh. The VX Compact, which looks like a Peacekeeper with this placeholder there, they buffed its close range, its mid-range, and its long range. That'll be even better now. It's already a great sniper support, but that's nice to see. An 8-meter buff there is pretty drastic. Velocity was also buffed there. Then on the Ascent Barrel, medium damage range benefit buffed, and then the velocity penalty reduced. That's even better for sniper support. Tryon Grip Barrel, better horizontal control. ADS penalty not as harsh yet again. On the CBRS-3, magazine rechamber now happens every 40 bullets instead of 30, and the horizontal recoil has been reduced. On the MPC, couple of attachment updates here, again, helping with the control benefits, nerfing the penalty of the ADS speed there. Rev gets a range buff across the board. That's nice to see, makes it a little bit more competitive. They also adjusted the weapon position in ADS, reduced the recoil, and the headshot multiplier was buffed, and then we get a couple of attachment updates. Sturmwolf range gets buffed, and then its mid-range and its long-range damage gets buffed. That could be interesting as a sniper support SMG. That might be a little bit better now. Couple of attachment updates. VST gets even better. I love to see that. Hey, I'll take it. VST is still going to be the #1 sub. For range, mid-range, and long range, that's better now. Slightly reduced the recoil too, which is huge. And then attachment updates here as well. XM325 slightly reduced its recoil, so it's easier to use. I think it's kind of a laser beam low-key. Like, it actually fries if you can manage the recoil. It's very vertical. Gonna make life a little bit easier there. Motion strike laser helps out that ADS spread. And then on the Ion, couple of ADS spread improvements with certain attachments. We then lastly get our bug fixes here. Here they fixed an issue where completing a supply run contract would not grant a fire sale at times. An issue causing some players to see Season 2 ranked leaderboards. An issue where legacy CDL skins would appear locked even if you owned them. An issue where MW2 weapons did not display camos correctly. An issue where new season protection text in the ranked menu would overlap with UI elements. An issue where the options prompts could lose functionality when you enter the change loadout screen in the firing range while using keyboard and mouse. Very specific there. Then also an issue where map geometry allowed players to get out of bounds. And that concludes our Season 4 Reloaded patch notes across the board. If you enjoyed the video, be sure to drop a like. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button on your way out. And until next time, thank you so much for tuning in. Have an awesome rest of your day. I'll catch you later. Peace out.
what's up guys, my name is Ace, and the Season 4 Reloaded update for Black Ops 7 is here, and in this update, we actually got a good handful of weapon balancing adjustments, and we're going to be diving into those.
Nice.